How would the USA rate Nigeria and the fight against corruption?
I'll be very honest, I think you've got your hands full. I think corruption is a serious issue here. I know that certain government agencies are working hard on this. I look back at the history of my country when corruption was a massive problem. And let's be clear, we have not cured ourselves of corruption. It comes up every day. But I find, if you look back at histories of various countries, the tide turns against corruption when average citizens begin to stand up and say, that's enough. I'm tired of paying my taxes and seeing no results. I'm tired of being ripped off by the big guys. It's when average citizens band together and just say, you know, this is enough. And they take that to the polling booth. They speak out in public. And I leave it up to you whether that day is beginning to arrive in Nigeria. But I think that's what ends corruption, a combination of effective laws and the little guy just saying, I'm tired of this. This is enough.
You know, is there a mechanism or an avenue where the ordinary Nigerian can actually have access to the United States to inquire about some personalities? For instance, a case of someone who is wanted in the United States, or someone who has actually done something criminal in the United States, and you hear stories about certain Mr. A being wanted in the United States for certain crimes. Is there a way the average Nigerian can actually access to find out if that is genuine or...
Sometimes those things make the press. That's the best way to tell. But there's also some privacy concerns on things like our visa process and some of our other law enforcement processes. So it's a fine line before you publicize something like that. You've got to make sure that you've got the facts and that kind of thing. But I can assure you that the issue of major players in corruption from any country breaking the law and then finding their way to the U.S. is something we take seriously.
What would you say that, in the fight against corruption is usually the weakest link? Because, people that talk about institutions, if it's not so much about the crime being committed, but people being held to account by the law when they finally commit those crimes. What would you say is the weakest link?
I think one of the biggest challenges is when things happen in the shadows. And the best way many countries have found to address corruption is to make government processes as open and public and transparent as possible. So that, for example, on a big contract, all bids at the end of the process might be made public. So everybody can look at all the bids and see why one was picked, that kind of thing. So I think shining the light in all dark corners is the best way to go about it.